Hi, Fly Boys, Fly Girls. I'm your host, Maya Rothwell, and you are watching or listening to the Fly Girls podcast. Today, I'm thrilled to announce my lovely, beautiful guest. Not only is she a powerhouse, she's an author, she's a self-love, self-help queen. Today, I have the lovely Tam Kaur.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Hey, Tam, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
So, how are you?
I'm really good. Super
Amazing.
excited to be here. Super excited to get into it. The advice.
I'm so happy to meet you, and thank you for bringing your book, which is what we're going to be talking about today. Buy Yourself the Damn Flowers. I listened to it in one day.
That's incredible.
And it's 7 hours, around 7 hours, 7 minutes, 7 hours, 10 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
What I wanted to ask you was, when you record the audiobook, does it take 7 hours? It takes more? Or
It took me 2 days.
Oh.
I'm trying to remember how long my shift was each day. It was like a 6-hour day over 2 days. But obviously I had breaks in between. I had lunch and everything. And then obviously you mess up at times, so they had to cut all of that out. But weirdly, it went really fast. It was such a unique experience.
Yeah.
Though. Yeah.
No, it was so nice actually listening to you narrate the book. Normally, I like to read the physical book, and I did start to read your physical book. But listening to you narrate your own story was it was honestly magical. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much.
So thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you for listening.
Before we get into any questions, pick a card, Tam, any card.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I'm gonna pick this one. Can I look at it?
Yeah, read it.
What is your most important lesson in life? I've already got my answer.
Yeah.
The thing that always stands out to me is that adversity is important and adversity can be used to your advantage. And without having any of our challenges or any of our obstacles, we wouldn't be able to grow or adapt as human beings. We would stay in the same place our entire lives. And I think when I was younger, I resented anything bad that happened to me. But now that I'm older, I look forward to when I experience challenges, which sounds weird, but I know growth is coming. I'm about to have a glow up, whether it's physically, professionally, mentally. This is going to make me more resilient and stronger. So I think they're underrated and we got to appreciate them more.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We just spoke about it earlier as well.
Yeah.
You have to learn the hard way sometimes in life. And I feel like adversity, it's not always a bad thing. And like you said, to be excited for it. I actually listened to an interview with David Khayam. He's like a spiritual teacher. And he says when bad things happen to you, it's actually something good is about to come. And my mum always says this as well. My mum always says, be grateful, say thank God for everything, because you never know, something worse could have happened.
Yeah.
And maybe this is your lesson to teach you something else.
Yeah. A lot of the time something has to go in order for something new to come.
So true.
And a lot of the times we also don't realize that something is no longer serving us and we will cling on to things out of comfort when really what the universe, what the world is preparing for us is so much greater than anything we could have ever imagined for ourselves.
It's so true. And I think what's written for us, we probably pray and we probably want something that's this small, and God wants to give us something that's this
huge,
big.
yeah.
And it's amazing. Honestly, I've experienced it. When I look back to my younger self, I used to pray for things and I used to want things that now I look back and I laugh and I'm like, I cannot believe I wanted that.
Yes.
But at the time you think, this is what I want, this is what I want, I need this. And then as you grow, you realize, wait, no. And that
100%.
was not good for me. That was not healthy and toxic. Now when I look back, I'm like, thank God that didn't happen. And also I feel like, I don't know if you believe in God, I do. I feel like God listens to things we don't hear. He sees things we don't see. And we might not have all the answers now, but what's in the dark might be best off in the dark. And actually, we will learn one day why something did or didn't work out in the future.
100%, yeah. That's the thing. I think it's all about trusting the process and knowing, like, nobody is born knowing how their life is supposed to go, who's supposed to be in our lives. It's a learning process every single day. And you just have to have this trust that everything is always working out in your favor. Life is not unfair. Life is not out to get you. These things aren't put into your life to hurt you. I'm sure everybody watching can probably recall at least 10 instances where they thought something was about to break them and now they're like, you know what, thank God. Because hard relate with what you said. There were so many things, there were so many people I wanted so desperately, and I'm like, oh my God, I ended up in so much of a better position and I can't even imagine what my life would have looked like had I gone down the road of what I thought I wanted. Also, that was me when I was younger.
Yeah, exactly.
How did I know enough about life or where I'm supposed to go to make properly informed decisions on what the rest of my life should look like?
It's so true. It's so true. And we're the same age. I always ask this question to people who are 24, 25. Did you feel like, because your prefrontal cortex is developing, it develops at our age, did you feel the change? Because I definitely did. And I felt like my eyes just opened, and I just felt like I looked around, and no offense to anyone, no shade to anyone, but there was a lot of things and people in my life who was not serving me, opportunists, you know, and a lot of things that I just realized this does not serve me, and I had to let it go. And it's quite hard, and it's really sad. I don't know if you had that, like you just had this epiphany and you just came to these realizations. Did you feel like that?
A lot of people do talk about the prefrontal cortex developing. I just turned 24, so I'm waiting because I'm like, is it going to happen on my 25th birthday? But I do relate to what you're saying. I had that moment when I graduated university where I was like, I've kind of been in the wrong environment, around the wrong people. I don't know why I've been accepting this. And all of a sudden I had this urge that I can create and design whatever life I want. And I think hopefully I get this other epiphany on my 25th birthday. But I think a lot of people, it's when maybe they're starting a side hustle, maybe they have a new vision for their life. Genuinely, I think it can happen at any age. And also you don't just get one in life, you get so many.
It's so true. And I feel like you speak about this a lot in your book, about boundaries. And I really like that you address this. And it's just so important. And at one point you said it's poor spiritual hygiene to not implement boundaries.
Yes.
And it's so true. And I used to be guilty of not really having boundaries, not knowing how to say no. And reading your book, I was like, why did I not read this sooner? Why did you not publish this sooner? Honestly, because my younger self, that's one thing I could go back and just shake myself for, say, have boundaries, say no, because you can't pour into someone else's cup and empty yours and you have nothing left.
100%,
But
yeah.
at what point did you start to reinforce boundaries and not feel guilty about it?
So I'm a very non-confrontational person. So in the boundaries chapter of the book, I lay out like an entire dialogue example of like, these are all of the phrases you should say when you're setting a boundary, just to make it super easy and clear so there's no confusion. And I'm also naturally an introvert as well. So one thing that I've learned with my life is I prefer living out my boundaries rather than directly communicating them 24/7. I will if I have to and if somebody asks me, but I just live by the way I want to be treated. So an example of that is if somebody's sending me a work email, work text, something like that at 11 o'clock at night, I'm not responding. It doesn't matter if I've seen it. That is my time. Yeah. The more that you start being more accessible and acting in a way that you don't want to, people are going to think it's okay because you're giving them that. And another huge example is anytime I've ever been in a talking stage, started dating somebody, I do not text them throughout the day. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but my life does not revolve around you. I'm always going to be that girl that puts herself and her career before a man, 100%. And so I would just naturally like a little good morning text. I'll check in with you at night. I'll call you before bed. That's how I like to do things. And more often than not, they'll always ask, like, where have you been? Why are you not texting? And I'm like, listen, one thing you need to know about me, if we are ever going to be in a relationship, you're never going to get this from me. And I love doing that because yes, it could be scary and maybe they'll be put off you or whatever, but if they are, they were never your person. And I think it just cuts down the process of keeping somebody in my life who was never actually meant for me and doesn't support how I want to live.
It's so true. Honestly, I feel like I've started to do that now. I never did that when I was younger. But it's true because is it normal? Like, say if I sent you a work email at 11 p.m, is that normal, really?
Yeah.
Obviously, time differences. Say if you're in a different country, okay, I understand. But, and as well, the texting all day thing, I don't know why this is normalised. It shouldn't really be normalised. Every single day, every second. Like, do we not have lives? Do we not have jobs? Hobbies? And I think at one point in your book, you said unfriend and unfollow in real life. And I really, really liked that. It resonated with me so much. I feel like if people are offended, like you said, they're not supposed to be in your life. Yeah. And I saw a quote one time that said, you'll be sent a test. Like say before you meet your soulmate, you'll be sent the wrong person and that's your test. And in your book at one point, you said how you had a situation and I can't remember what they did. They did something narcissistic and you just straight away blocked them. And I feel like that was your test.
Yeah, I remember what you're saying now. So I took a year out where I was like, I'm not going to date, none of that. Around the 6-month mark of this year, first of all, I was so proud of myself because I was a serial dater. I was that girl that was like men were honestly the center of my life. And it took me a long time to break away from that. So 6 months, no contact with a man. I was feeling great. And then I meet this guy and I'm like, okay, is this a sign? Let's see where it goes. And immediately I was like, no. And I kid you not, 2 weeks later,
oh God,
my current partner comes into my life.
Oh, see, that was your test. Yeah,
100%. That really resonates.
It's so true, honestly. But let me ask you something, actually. So I stopped dating for a long time now, a long time. And I just can't be bothered. Like, I was talking to my friend the other day, she's a therapist, and we was on FaceTime, and she was saying, if I was you, Mike, because she's in a relationship now, she said, if I was you, I'd just go on dating apps, because we're busy. And I tried, I downloaded Hinge, and then I deleted it the next day. I was like, I can't be bothered, these forced conversations.
I tried the dating apps once. I deleted it after an hour.
I'm not
a big texter. I'm like, I'll see you in real life. Otherwise.
It's just so fake as well. Oh, hi, hey. And I'm just like, so at what point will I be ready then?
I'm a big believer that what's meant for you will come for you at the right time. So I think as soon as I was downloading the apps, I was like, this feels inauthentic to me. I feel like I'm trying to force something that's supposed to come into my life. The relationship I'm in right now is my dream relationship. And it came to me out of nowhere when the one time in my life that I was not dating. And even when he came into my life, I was still like, I can't date you. I'm on my self-love. Yeah. And he was fully fine with that. So, and same with friendships as well. Any single time I have tried to be like, okay, let me be friends with these people. I need to get outside of my shell. It was always when I wasn't looking that the best and most genuine people found me. I think the only thing that is in your responsibility is to make sure your mindset is in the right place.
True.
The whole like men are trash, well, yes, I do agree with it. At the same time, if that's all we think, that men are going to disappoint us, men are bare minimum, our brain is constantly going to look for examples to prove that to be true. And it's going to block us from seeing that there are amazing men out there that can treat us amazing and meet all of our standards. And it's just going to keep us in this endless cycle of feeling like what I want is never going to find me.
No, it's true. No, there are good ones out there. I do think you have to have a positive mindset, like you said. But yeah, maybe it's just not my time. I do think my soulmate who's written for me, it will just happen naturally.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't want to force it. I don't want to. And if I don't have a desire to date, then why am I going to force myself? Because then it's not fair, it's not genuine. Even if I do force myself to go on these dating apps and meet someone, what for what? Like, I wouldn't want someone to do that to me.
At this age as well, there's just no, you know exactly. What? Watching the show Sex and the City, have you seen it?
Yeah, I love it.
Watching that in my early 20s changed me because everybody around us is like date in your 20s, get married in your 20s. To me, that's just never aligned to me. I feel like I'm too young. I'm still finding myself. Watching that show normalized, still dating in your 30s, still finding yourself was so important.
Yeah. I used to want to have kids really young. I used to want to have marriage, the baby's young. Now I look back and I look at my friends with kids and I'm like, no, it's a lot harder than what it looks like. And we romanticize a lot of things. And the reality is it's actually really hard. Yeah,
it is. It is. And I think it restricts how much you can pour into yourself as well. Having a child is the most unselfish thing you can do. And I just think you need to get out all the selfishness you possibly can before you decide to do that. So you should just give yourself more time.
Yeah, I don't think I'm ready. Are you? When do you think you'll be ready to have kids?
I actually decided I didn't want to have kids whatsoever because I was like, I'm so fine with, I love marriage. I would love to get married and then I want to travel the world. I want to focus on my career. I want to be here, there, everywhere. And I just want to focus on me and my partner and growing that way. However, I went to a psychic for the first time and she said it's in my destiny to be a mother. So
then it's your destiny.
So who knows? But she also said, she said it will happen in my mid-30s. And I was like, you know what? If I were to do it, 100% always in my 30s.
That's the best. My mum says your 30s plus is the best. Because when I was obsessed with being married young and in my 20s, my mum was like, why do you want that? Like, wait till you're 30, then have kids.
I feel like your 20s is still the beginning of your life. You just finished being a child.
Yeah.
You just broke out of your parents' home. You've got money for the first time. You've got a job for the first time. You're seeing the world on your own terms for the first time. To immediately put yourself into the responsibility of being a wife, of being a mother is a lot. And I think you sacrifice a lot by making that choice.
No, exactly.
When you have the rest of your life to do it.
Yeah, I love being alone right now as well. I just enjoy my peace and alone time. Okay, so Buy Yourself the Damn Flowers. What inspired you with this powerful title?
So it was actually the first title I thought of, funnily enough. And I tried to draft out a bunch of titles afterwards and I was like, none of them hit the same. And the reason this title came into my head for the first time is because when I took a year out of dating and when I was like, I think I need to figure out what self is, what it looks like to me, how I can incorporate that into my lifestyle. The first act of self-love I ever did was buying myself flowers. And that became a weekly tradition. And I was documenting it online to my very, very like minuscule following online. And even though that following is so small, so many women DM'd me and resonated just with the act of buying myself flowers. Because I think it's something that you wouldn't naturally think of. I never thought of it until it was like my mission to practice self-love that I had to think of that. Because we naturally think, our loved ones should give us flowers. I'm waiting for my boyfriend and he never gets them for me. And so knowing how much it resonated with other people, it just made the most sense because it has such a personal connection to my journey.
Yeah, but why wait? I mean, love yourself, buy yourself the flowers. Like, why wait for someone to give you the flowers?
100%.
And maybe you buying yourself those flowers, that act will make you love yourself more and realize I don't need anyone to buy me flowers. I can buy myself the flowers.
It's doing little things like that. That's what raises your standards because you're like, I take myself on dates. I give myself flowers and you're not going to do this. Why would I ever give you a chance?
No.
Yeah.
I love how in your book you said about solo dates, going out alone. And a lot of people, they might be scared to do that. But I think it's a must. Absolutely, it's a must. Why? Like, why are you scared to go to a restaurant alone? Why are you scared to go? Even I've been to the cinema alone. I've been to restaurants alone. Like, a lot of what you said in your book, I've done because you was born into this world alone. So why?
Yeah,
why are you so
it's
scared?
so sad. It's just a societal way of thinking that, people fear that people are going to judge me and they're not even entirely wrong. There are people that are going to stare at you and they're going to think badly about you because they are just in a more limited space in their life right now than you are. They aren't quite there with why you're doing what you're doing. So people aren't even wrong in being scared. It's just the fact that you can't let these people's limited way of thinking run your life and prevent you from doing all the things you want to do. On my first solo date, I was terrified. And I thought all the things you were thinking, I was like, why though? I'm not doing anything wrong. This is completely okay. And I was convinced that people around me were thinking badly about me. But the truth is you're never going to know. And thank God I sat through that scary feeling sitting in a restaurant alone because now I'm here. And I've traveled to multiple countries now alone. I celebrated my birthday alone.
Well done.
I celebrated Valentine's Day alone. I went to a concert alone. I've done the really big scary things.
That is, I don't think I would have the courage to do that.
It's a big thing.
That is amazing.
For me, it turned into a bucket list thing where I'm like, how far can I go? Because it's not even just about the self-love aspect, it's a confidence thing.
It's true.
That's the biggest way of like, I don't care what any of you think about me.
So true. I feel like after that, you'll do anything alone. Like to go to a concert alone,
Yeah.
normally that you'd go with people. And you said you actually met someone there.
I did, yeah.
So,
there was another girl that was on a solo date.
See?
And it's little experiences like that open you up and you're like, actually, this is normal. And actually, nobody would judge me. And you open up and you get more and more confident and then you can fully embrace that lifestyle.
Oh, I love that. I love that so much. What message do you want people to take from this book?
The message I want them to take away is the fact that this book has been written like a guide. So I want the message to be that there are so many practical ways to incorporate self-love into your life. I don't ever want there to be a question or confusion about, I know self-love is good and I know it's important, but like, what does that actually mean? And that message is so important to me because that's the whole reason I started this journey. I knew, okay, I keep accepting low vibe behavior and low vibe things into my life. I think self-love is missing. But then I was like, but what the hell does that actually mean? And you'll Google it and you'll get the vaguest definition ever. You'll get random articles that are like, take a bubble bath and do a face mask. What is that?
No,
how
it's
is
not.
that going to solve my trauma and my
It's
insecurities?
not just that, literally.
And so then it was like, I'm going to throw myself into a year of just being alone and embracing my solitude and let's see what comes out of it. And there were so many ways in which I practiced it wrongfully and I went down roads that I thought would get me self-love, but then it didn't. And it was just trial and error, trial and error. And through all of my learnings and all of the research I've done, I wanted to compile practical tips and homeworks. So it's like the next time you lack self-love, you can pick this up and you know what to do. Because yes, self-love is important, but one thing a lot of people don't discuss is the fact that not learning self-love is one of the most dangerous decisions you can make for your life. The amount of implications you could give yourself by not taking the time to figure out what your relationship with yourself looks like is insane. You could be trapped in an abusive relationship that ends up being controlling and takes away from you financially.
Exactly, yeah.
Self-love isn't just a confidence thing, it's a freedom thing.
Yeah, it's so true. So true. You can't give someone else that power to control you. And I feel like once you love yourself and respect yourself, that is the groundwork. And you can't let anyone else disrespect you or take from you when you already got the boundary. I feel like your book is very detailed. Guys, if you haven't read the book, you need to. It's literally, and I love how you do the homeworks on your channel as well. You do the homeworks so people can actually take it and take action, which leads me to my next question. So a lot of people feel stuck or unsure about how to level up their lives. What would you suggest someone to do if they want to change, but they don't know where to start?
So this actually links into the fact that my book and my videos are so detailed because I'm a very organized person. Like I love my lists and my to-do lists and things. And I feel like for me, when I was really stuck, I love to just take a step back and analyze and evaluate. That's how you figure out where you want to start. So my biggest tip would be take a step back and simply ask yourself the question, what is the biggest thing in my life that's holding me back right now? Not all of the things that you can improve, not all of the ways in which you could meet your full potential. That's too overwhelming. It's too much. You're going to stress yourself out, you know? And I think that's where people get stuck because we see all of these healthy, that girl routines online and they are great, but deciding you're going to wake up tomorrow and drink a gallon of water and wake up at 5 a.m. and go to the gym and journal and meditate, you can't do that. It's not humanly possible. And the same goes for looking at your life as a whole. It's like, I want to improve these 5 areas. Let me pick one that's really, really important. Let's say in my personal life, it was I had a lot of dating problems. I wanted to detach myself from all of that, from male validation. I just focused on that. And that entire year of spending time with myself, by the end of the year, I was in the place you're at right now. I was like, dating is not for me. Yeah. I did a complete 180. I was like, ew, like I did not want to do it whatsoever. And I was so lucky because along the way, I also learned confidence and I also learned the best self-improvement routines that served me. And then once that was done, I was so over the whole male validation thing. Then I could start setting new goals. I'm like, okay, now I want to start side hustles or now I want to work on my confidence. And you just take it step by step. It's like building blocks.
I love that. I love how on your channel you talk about SWOT analysis. On one of your videos, you do a SWOT analysis, like full on. We did it in business studies because I studied business in uni.
That's where I learned it from.
That's how you treat your life. And I love it because it makes so much sense. And it's so true. For anyone who doesn't know what SWOT analysis is, it's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. Yeah, and it makes so much sense. Yeah. Another one of your videos, you said you have menus, like on days when you don't feel like doing anything, you'll have a self-care menu. You have different kinds of menus. And I think that's really useful as well for like when you have low energy or high energy, which you talk a lot about on your channel. As well, I want to get back to, I forgot to ask you. So you said you were sharing your journey when you was buying yourself the flowers with your followers. Is that what started your journey with your content creation?
No, I'd been doing content creation around, I think it was 2 years prior. I've always been a really creative person. I learned how to edit videos when I was 10 years old. That was like my first hobby. Yeah. So, and I didn't know it was going to lead me down like, the influencer road, but I realized when I started university, doing this on Instagram/YouTube is the best outlet for me to practice what I love spending my spare time doing. So I just thought I'd just make videos of whatever. I would do uni vlogs. I'd do makeup tutorials because I just loved sitting down and editing the footage afterwards. So I never really had a clear vision of what my content would look like. I just enjoyed it. It was a hobby on the side. And then when I was going through my own self-development journey and just casually sharing it and seeing that it resonated with people, I was like, oh, maybe this is a really good direction. So I just immersed myself in that even more. And that's when I felt the most passionate about what I was talking about finally. And I kind of found my purpose within it as well.
No, thank you so much for sharing your journey on YouTube because a lot of your videos are actually very useful. And I think it's so helpful for young girls because I don't remember any content creators really doing what you're doing now, like self-help. In one of your videos, you also talk about finances. Mm-hmm. And you said to have basically a personal savings account, like Cash ISA for a home, a travel account, and 3 personal savings
that are more liquid, investing. And then investments. So that could be for some people, it would be your pension or it could be your stock market and any other strategies. Yeah.
And I love that because I never thought to have like a travel account, but just have a travel account. And then you can treat yourself. You might not think twice about booking that plane ticket or that holiday. Yeah. So thank you for everything. Honestly, I think like young girls need this kind of content. Do you remember anyone doing like self-help and self-love stuff?
I'm trying to think. No, but
I can't think of anyone.
I was really into self-development at a young age because I was so shy. Like I could not speak to anybody at school. I was that shy. So I used to come home and I used to Google like how to be confident, how to speak to people. And all I would see is these like WikiHow articles.
Yeah, I remember that, WikiHow.
I also think self-development back in the day was very clinical. So it would be like an old guy talking about it. And while he is very qualified and giving great points, it's harder to connect when you're really young. So that's what I like about what I do, because I'm like, I hope this gives the girlies who have never thought about self-development before, gets them into it a little bit.
Yeah, it's relatable, you know? Let's talk about authenticity and growth. How do you stay authentic whilst being your true self on this journey of self-love, discovering who you are and figuring out what you want to do in life? Like,
for me, the foundation of it is following my first instinct. I think the second that we have a thought and then we start to question it because we're like, but what if people think this, and is this right, and is this what society will deem acceptable? That's when we start being inauthentic. That's when we start straying from our true purpose. You know, if you want to pick up a book, or if you just want to start your self-improvement journey, that is you following your authenticity in your growth journey, because you're like, this is what I want to do, so I'm going to do it. Not, but this isn't cool, or I'm too young to do this, or I should be partying and this and that.
what roles does reading and learning play in your self-development journey? Has that aided you? Like reading books? I know you love to read books. We've read a lot of common books, Atomic Habits,
Yes.
etc., etc. Do you think that, would you suggest people to read books and like it's a key role?
I definitely think so. I like to kind of, because obviously I'm a creator and I'm a consumer. I mean, everybody is. It doesn't matter if you're on social media or not. You have to take action in your life while balancing also consuming. So I like to kind of look at it in seasons where I'm like, okay, what is the thing that I really want to learn right now? At the beginning of my journey, actually, I think the first book I ever read was a financial literacy book. That was a bit random. Yeah. Somebody just gave that to me and I was like, okay, I'll read this.
Was it Rich Dad Poor Dad?
It was Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yeah, I read that.
But when it
So
came to
good.
like, I'm going to take myself to the bookstore now and I'm going to, then it was more like confidence, self-helpy books. And now I would not pick up any of those books because I've just read so much of them and I've also put all the action in. So now I definitely consume less than I did at the beginning of my journey. I think if you're a beginner, you've never been in this world before, you're like, I genuinely don't know where to start. I'm all for consumption. I'm all for watching the videos, listening to the podcast. That's what gives you the fire to like get into it. And that was me. Every single day when I was starting, I listened to a podcast every day on my walk and I read a self-help book every single day. Now it's much more cyclical. So I'll listen to a podcast maybe twice a week now. And I'll watch a educational YouTube video when I find one that inspires me. And I still read almost every single morning on whichever book just strikes curiosity rather than I should read this because this is what this is about. Yeah, but I think I'm now much more in tune with who I am and what I need because of everything I've read beforehand, that it helped me get more in touch with myself.
I feel like when you read a book, you're literally reading someone's life research in one book.
Yeah, it's so useful.
Yeah, it's so true. When people say to me, oh no, I don't read. And I'm like, but we have Audible, we have all these platforms where you can listen, even podcasts, like you said, YouTube. After you did that finance video with the accounts, straight away, my next payday, I did that. And I implemented action. And I just feel like maybe it just took that one video for me to do that. And yeah, like you said, you just start with one podcast, one YouTube video. But I feel like people's problem is their attention span. They can't really concentrate for that long or read a book. But yeah, start with a podcast or YouTube video.
Definitely. It's such a privilege that we have this amount of information around us right now that even if you're not a big reader, you can go to an audiobook, you can go to a podcast. Even my TikTok page, I train my algorithm to only show me motivational videos or things that align with where I want to be in life. So even when I want to scroll, it's a productive scroll. I'm not being drained. My cup is being filled back up with things I need.
No, good. You have to, honestly. Yeah. So you have a newsletter.
Yes.
What inspired you to bring the newsletter? Congratulations, by the way.
Oh, thank you so much. So for me, there's two parts to it. One is I always want to continue bringing value. It actually really links into why I wrote the book. I think making so many TikTok videos and YouTube videos and podcasts and stuff, there's so much on video of me talking. I actually love to write, and because I'm so organized and I love my lists, I love to organize information. And the reason I had the idea for the book was I want to write an entire guide, all these steps, bullet points, this, organize this information to help people be really clear on what it is they need. Yeah. So the newsletter linked into that, where I was like, there have been studies that show that humans check their emails like 50 times a day or something, basically more than socials. And it makes sense. I do it all the time, right?
I do as well.
Imagine opening your inbox and you've got all this stressful work going on, but you have just that little bit of inspiration or that little bit of value that keeps you going that day. I love the idea of that. And I also, having done this for like 2 years now, I know exactly what my community needs. So it was a no-brainer. But also the second part of it is I love challenging myself. YouTube is going great, but I've done it for so long and I know what works there that I don't feel like I'm being creatively challenged anymore. And I'm just a person that loves to work. So I always want to see how far I can go with my full potential. So it started with YouTube. And then when I did a podcast, it was scary. And I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do this.
Really though?
I started with just a microphone in my apartment, just audio. And I was so nervous. And then I overcame that and I was like, okay, let's take it to the next level. Then it was in a studio. So I was finally doing it on video. And now it's with guests. So I'm constantly trying to level up. And while it's scary and while it can be a lot and tiring, I go home at the end of the day knowing that I learned something new, or I'm leveling up in my confidence and in my strength and my resilience and my work ethic. So I feel like there are a lot of personal advantages that come with it as well.
Yeah. What tips would you give someone if they wanted to start a newsletter, or if they're thinking maybe I should for my followers?
I think don't worry so much about the audience side of it. And I say this because this is truly what helped me grow on YouTube. When I was thinking about who do I want to watch my videos and how am I going to get the numbers, that's what I feel like strained or restricted my creativity and my passion, because I was too focused on the strategy. When I thought about what kind of YouTube video do I want to watch? And for me, it was, I want it to be super organized. I want there to be chapters. I want their homework at the end. I don't want to have to watch 5 videos on a subject to get the answer I'm looking for. I want it all to be in one. That helped me make the right video. And then the attention followed because I was making something that was authentic and something that I knew was missing from the world. So when it came to the newsletter, I didn't do much research whatsoever. I was like, I know how I want it to be structured. I know how often I want it to go out, and I know how I want to structure it. And I think when you look at it from that side, you're going to enjoy what you do all the time. And I think that's the most important thing. And when you do, that shines through, and that's what gets people to want to listen and read.
I didn't know this, but I was watching another YouTube video about newsletters, and one guy in America sold his newsletter. Like, he ended up making it a business and he sold it for millions. I can't remember the name. Something Club, Morning Club. I can't remember the name, but he sold it for millions of pounds. I was like, I didn't even know you could do that.
It is a thing. I think it's because if you have a lot of subscribers, that's really powerful in the business world for email marketing, and which is something I'm still looking into. I actually do need to get on the research side of things, to be honest. I'm just like, I want to write a newsletter, so there you go.
No, but I think it's best to just do it. I feel like when you think too much, what if, you just do it.
And if you don't have the answers to it, you're just going to learn along on the job. And I'm still doing that with the newsletter.
No, congratulations, girl, honestly. Say if someone wants to write a newsletter, but they don't have a large following like yourself, would you still tell them to do it anyway and then grow the audience as they go?
I'm definitely no newsletter expert, I think, but being a social media content creator, I would advise get on social media first and build your following there. In my experience, a newsletter is actually expensive to run. Social media is free.
Really?
Yeah. Unless you do it on something like Substack. I wanted to take control, have a team and do it so it's completely personalized to my brand. Actually, if you want to start a newsletter, definitely look into Substack because I know it's free and there's already a built-in audience with it. And it would be easier for somebody who's starting out to monetize it straight away as well. But I'm always going to be the biggest advocate that, you can hop on Instagram and hop on TikTok and build an amazing community there. And they'll follow you to other platforms.
So true. So true. Any advice for anyone who wants to post? Like my little sister, she lives in London now actually, but because we're from a small town, she's really good at singing. She's at stage school now. I said to her, just post your video. She's like, oh, but this, and everyone will say something. I was like, you don't know who's watching that silly TikTok. You don't know who's watching that video. I said to her, 50 Cent could be on TikTok. I don't know, Tam Kaur could be on TikTok, anyone. And that's it. You probably, before you even finish stage school, you'll be doing what you want to actually do.
Yeah.
But because I understand as well, like when you're from a small town, it is hard and like you care what people think. But I said to her, now that you're away, just do it. So what would you say to people who are scared to pose? They're young, they're in a small town or village and they're like scared. What would you say to them?
I'm from a really small town as well.
Yeah.
My biggest... Derby.
Derby,
I
really?
live on the edge of Derby, so it's just countryside.
Oh, down the road from me.
Really?
Yeah, I'm from I don't know if you know Lincoln.
Oh, I've heard of it. I haven't been there, but I've heard
Boston,
of it.
Lincolnshire. Yeah, and I used to go to Derby for school trips and stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you came to our town for a school.
Yeah, we did Duke of Edinburgh.
Oh.
We did a practice one in Derby, camping in Derby.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, sorry, carry on. I'll cut you off.
Oh, my tip would be to take other people off the pedestal. And I say this because I was the same. I was like, what are other people going to think of me? Or I would want people to think I was cool in school. And I would look back and I'm like, everybody is on the same level. No one knows what they're doing with their life. Everybody's figuring it out at the same time. why would that person be more informed on life or on a higher rung on the ladder that they get to judge what I'm doing? It makes no sense. We're exactly the same.
You say this in your book as well, like putting people on a pedestal.
Yeah.
And it's like, why? Why do we actually do that? Like, as if they're better than us. As if.
Exactly.
We're all human at the end of the day.
100%.
What's next? You've got your podcast, you've got your newsletter, you've got your successful YouTube channel. What's next for you?
There's actually something very big coming next.
Oh my God.
And it's coming in the next few weeks. I'm literally working on it 24/7 now. It's the most tiring thing ever, but it's something I've wanted to do for ages. I recently launched my website. It's tamkaur.com. And there's going to be some cool things coming on there really, really soon. Some things that I know would really align to my audience's needs. I cannot wait for it to come out. I can't wait to use it. That's a little clue. But yeah, I mean, it's 7 p.m. right now, and I am going to go home and work on it until midnight tonight. That's what life looks like right now.
Well done. I like your website, by the way. It's beautiful.
Thank you. It's still in the kind of building stages. But yeah, that's what I'm working on right now, is building out. It's not an app.
Oh, okay.
But one day, who knows? But no.
I'm so excited.
Only a few weeks, yeah.
I'm so excited. Do you not get burnt out? Like, you do so much. You're not burnt out? I feel like your life's organised anyway, so.
It is very organised. I always say, when people ask me about burnout, I prepare for burnout. So I work so in advance that if I'm ever like, oh my God, life is so much, I can't do it anymore, I can afford to take a few days off because I'm like, I'm up to speed on everything. I'm not going to fall behind. That's my biggest tip. I learned that a long time ago.
So work in advance.
Yeah. All videos are edited, filmed a week and a half before they even come out. So if I'm like, I need 3 days to conk out, that's absolutely fine.
I love that. So do you have like one day and you just, because some creators do that, they'll film, like have one film day.
I do, yeah.
You do that?
It's the most tiring day in the week. It's a lot because filming takes a lot of emotional energy. You got to turn up on camera. You got to have the most energy. So normally I always do it on Tuesdays. I film a YouTube video in the morning. I go to the studio, do a podcast, and then I'll batch all my short form content as well.
Amazing. Yeah. That's good though. It's better. And then you've got your makeup on and clothes.
That's
and you
it. That's my main thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to be my PJs for the rest of the week. Yeah.
No, good for you. Well done. Okay, so I have some questions from my followers.
Okay.
How do you carry yourself with so much confidence?
It all started with faking it till I made it and just adopting the characteristics that I imagined my most ideal self would have. But now it looks like I kind of just carry reminders with myself every day. And anytime I make a decision or I'm going to go somewhere or act in a certain way or even put an outfit on for the day, it's, does this get me one step closer / does this align to the woman I want to become? If the answer is yes, I'm going to do it. Questions of what is this going to look like? Are people going to judge me for vlogging in public, looking at this in public is never a thing. I think when you have such a strong mission, you're naturally confident because of that anyway. And it's like, it's what we've discussed previously anyway. It's those realizations of everybody's equal. Why would I ever be insecure from what other people think about me? Nobody can be above anybody to have an accurately negative opinion of you because also nobody even knows you. The second I realized nobody can have a valid opinion of me, my life changed.
It's so true.
You just stop caring.
I feel like as well, people who do judge and are negative and backbite and gossip, that's a projection of their inner world and their inner self and their insecurities. This is what I've realised when people have been a certain way towards me. Now I know as I'm older, I'm like, that's because they're insecure.
Yeah.
They're projecting onto me.
100%.
So just remember that as well. Like if people are judging you or being any kind of way, that says more about them than you. How to know when I'm being disrespected?
Don't get too much in your head about it. One of the biggest mistakes I ever made was, am I overreacting about this? But should I be feeling this emotion about this? If you're feeling the emotion, it is valid and you get to honor that. If something is making you feel uncomfortable, you shouldn't have to ask, how do I know if I'm being disrespected? If you feel like you're being disrespected, you get to communicate that. You get to set a boundary. You get to walk away if something doesn't feel right to you. Everybody has different boundaries and different kind of senses of what they deem disrespectful. Never ask anybody else. It's all down to you. And you need to have the confidence to honor what you don't like in your life.
It's true. I feel like your body's telling you. If your body's telling you you're being disrespected, then you probably are.
Yeah.
Like, someone asked how to study and write essays.
Oh, it's been a while since I did that. I can say I have an in-depth video on my YouTube that teaches how I wrote essays and how I got a first class in university. I can't remember what I said in that video now. It's been too long. Thank you. But that was back when like my whole life was writing essays. I genuinely can't remember anything I said. But me 3 years ago will teach you.
Go on her YouTube channel and then you'll find it.
That's it.
No, me too. I can't answer that because, and especially
Too long
now,
ago.
you guys have Chat GPT. You guys can easily do it. We didn't have that.
So
We
true.
I wish I had that.
Oh, I will say my biggest tip is focus on your essay strategy and structure. Professors never teach that. And when you start looking at the mark schemes, that's what it's all about. As long as you're hitting the point of what the mark scheme requires, you're good to go. Half of
Exactly.
the stuff I was listening to in lectures never mattered. I actually stopped
Literally.
turning up. Maybe don't do that though.
No, uni. Do you feel like you got your money's worth with uni?
No. I didn't want to go. I actually wanted to drop out, but my family didn't
Really?
let me.
I wanted to drop out as well.
I always knew I wanted to work for myself. I knew I was a creative. I got so much life experience out of it. So I wouldn't take it back for the world. But asking me one question about my degree, I could not tell you.
Literally.
Yeah.
My friend, I wanted to go and do a master's and my friend said to me, don't, it's a waste of money. And I listened. I was like, okay, no. And I actually hated uni. Towards the end, I hated it. So I was like,
Yeah.
why am I going to even do that?
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't use their degrees actually.
Exactly. I think unless you're going to be a doctor or something,
Yeah,
fully
that's the
worth
thing,
it.
doctor.
Nowadays, I think it's just more about work experience.
It's true. It's true. How to have a strong energy.
How to have a strong
They
energy.
put in brackets, an energy no one can mess with me.
An energy no one can mess with you. I think this is all about confidence and detachment. When you are thinking and radiating from a place of, I genuinely don't care what anybody thinks about me. I know that's what it is. It's authenticity and it's knowing exactly who you are. When you know exactly who you are never going to question yourself because of what other people think or how they are looking at you or speaking about you and judging you. And people can sense that. The way that you perceive yourself, other people can sense that and they will treat you accordingly. If
Yeah.
you fear other people, if you are fearing their judgment, if you are trying to kind of adjust yourself in a way that will be more approved or more accepted by them, people are going to sense that and they will take advantage of that. Yeah. The second you detach yourself from that, you're going to be hella powerful.
It's true. What pushed you to have, I think you answered this already, what pushed you to have the desire to become successful and how to achieve success? You kind of answered this already, but yeah, what was the push for you actually?
The push for me was, I was so young. I must have been like around 11 years old. A lot of bad things had happened in my personal life and I just felt like the unluckiest girl in the world. And I felt like throughout my teenage years, so many challenges over and over and over again. I was looking around at everybody else who had, everybody has challenges. I know that now, but all of my friends had seemingly very normal lives. And I was like, am I the universe's punching bag? Why does this keep happening? And the thing that I used to tell myself to get myself through it was, all of these challenges are being given to me as gifts to help me get to where I need to be. When I was younger, I used to watch interviews from big celebrities, so like Oprah, Will Smith, even like boxers and things like that, listening to their life story. And when I understood that some of the biggest, most successful people in the world had bad childhoods or struggled or were insecure or bullied at school and got to where they are, that gave me the drive. And I was like, hold up, maybe this is a favor. Maybe I'm supposed to learn everything to become resilient, to get to where I want to be. That's what gives you the drive. And I can truly say 10 years on, I was so delusional in thinking that, but it was so true. I would have nothing to talk about.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It builds your character and it makes you strong as a person. Imagine if you didn't have any of those hardships and you just,
Exactly.
what would you even write about?
That's it.
What would you write? But thank you so much, Tam.
Thank
Thank you so much for coming. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it.
I had a
It's been
great
so
time. Your
nice to meet
questions were
you.
amazing.
Thank you, girl.
And you did your research.
Oh, I did,
Thanks
girl.
for watching. Thanks for listening. Love it.
No, thank you so much. Guys, thanks for watching. Have a lovely day. Bye.